Welcome to Spirit School. I'm Danielle, a medium and spiritual mentor and storyteller with over a decade experience, here to guide you through the profound intersections of spirituality, healing, and self-discovery. Spirit School is more than a podcast. It's a sanctuary, a place where you can connect with the wisdom of the unseen world, explore the depths of your own soul, and uncover the boundless life force energy within. Whether you're stepping into your spiritual gifts, navigating a healing journey, or seeking tools for a life filled with intention and meaning, you belong here. In each episode is a beacon of light, blending heartfelt stories, practical teachings, and reflections from my own path. Together, we'll celebrate the magic in the mundane and discover the extraordinary in everyday moments. Through Spirit School, we co-create a world where hope thrives, inspiration uplifts, and the power of spirit is undeniable. Welcome to Spirit School. Let's continue this journey of light and transformation together. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Spirit School. I am excited to be back with you for another messages from Spirit, what Spirit wants you to know right now, what's coming on to my heart, what's coming into my awareness. And whenever I record these, I get a lot of lovely messages from a lot of you that they're supportive. So I'm going to continue to do them. And first things first, I just wanted to address the season change. We are now in spring. We have made it through the winter. Please give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a round of applause. If I knew how to add sounds like those YouTubers, you'd hear an applause sound right now. But there's a huge celebration around the coming out of the dark, coming out of the darkest times. And though we are still in dark times, the light has returned. And that is undeniable in the change of the season. So one thing that I love about being spiritual is we get all these new beginnings, all these new beautiful beginnings. And, you know, when I was not spiritually inclined, when I was very much in my muggle humanity, I remember always looking forward to my birthday, always looking forward to New Year's. And anytime there was a big career shift or I was moving houses, there would be these markers of times anew. And as somebody who is spiritually aware, we're very lucky that there's so many opportunities for newness. When we become aware of the moon cycles, the moon moves into a new sign every 2 days. You know, every astrological month turnover, which happens in the third week of every month. We just crossed over into Aries season, the astrological new year this past week. And that's really a time for newness. And if I were to have it my way, and I know that I am not alone here, the astrological new year would be the turn of the calendar year. It just makes more sense. It feels so wrong having New Year's in the middle of winter. You know, yes, winter officially is only 2 weeks old by the time we get Jan 1, but it just doesn't feel like the most opportune time to have that kind of rollover, that switch over. So we are in the new astrological season. Take a deep breath with me. We made it. A new year ahead. And we see this through the weather warming up here in Canada. It was 19 degrees this weekend. It was 0 degrees last week. It's a big drastic change, whereas on other parts of Canada, the snow returned this weekend. And one of my clients went to Sedona last month, and it was snowing in Sedona, California. What? It's kind of wild, but we are here in a new season. And if you're looking for a new beginning at any time in your spiritual, look at the moon phases, look at the seasons, look at the moon cycles. There's always an opportunity to choose anew. At any given time, there's going to be an astrological or natural event that we can lean on that signifies and declares anew. And that is one thing that I love about spirituality. And I remember this time last year too, I went through, I would have said to you 2024 was the hardest year of my life, especially up until this time. And this year I'm here to tell you that 2025 is harder. A different type of hard, I should say. a different type of hard, because the things that have come up are very, very different. I remember last year around this time too, I can see it in my Facebook memories. I can really see that I was feeling a lot better coming into spring last year as well. And sometimes that level of awareness, when you can become aware year after year after year how the seasons are affecting you. I mean, they even have like seasonal defect disorder, right? Like you could become aware that the lack of sun, the weather that draws you more indoors, especially if you're outdoorsy, will really mess with you. And so, yeah, I can feel the freshness of spring and it feels really good. So if you could just take a moment to become aware of the changes where you have chosen to live, where you choose to land. You know, if you pay attention to maybe you live in a naturally warm place, but there's more people outside enjoying the spaces you like to enjoy. I remember going down to California a couple years ago in August, and they were like, oh, it's really cold. You'll need a sweater. I'm like, this is warm, forget it. But there wasn't as many people out because it was a colder August for them. And maybe where you live, you're just noticing more people or less people. Maybe you're starting to see a shift in the seasons where you live as well. So the first message that really comes through is around this concept of choosing anew whenever you need and looking for the energetic supports to help you in that shift, because they are there. And I know sometimes, often for people who walk a mystical path, it can be lonely. It can feel lonely, but you are never alone. There are always energies at play that are supporting you in all ways. So sometimes just opening up your perspective and zooming out a little bit, you will find something that will support you. And if you look close enough, and it is so noisy out there, there's always reminders of the icky energy and the things that aren't going well. Those seem to be louder in today's society. So sometimes it takes more of a sacred effort to look for the things to be in balance with that, to look for the good, to look for the newness. That in these times are a bigger stretch and take more determination than being aware of the not so good. And that is very real as well. So I am feeling better. I am feeling better for sure. I will say, in preparation for these spirit messages, I was hearing a lot of chanting. Chanting is something I would love to bring at spirit school. So if there's any chanters who are listening to this, who do teach chanting in a really authentic and culturally safe way, I would love to hear from you, because I had one chanting experience with Rebecca Campbell at a Hay House event years ago, like 10 years ago now. And I tell you, I had this really powerful spiritual experience through chanting that completely blindsided me. And as I was preparing for these spirit messages, I kept hearing chanting. So I feel like the chant, the using of the voice, the inner voice and the outer voice, because sometimes that chanting might be internal, but I don't know, it feels powerful to just speak it. So that's something that's coming through for all of us. So I'd be curious how that comes into play, if that's something that you too have been really drawn to, but I feel that there's a really powerful experience in that. And I'm just pulling a few cards to support these spirit messages. And today I'm using Asha Frost's deck, the Sacred Medicine Oracle. She has a new deck on animals, but I use it at home. Okay, let's see. Okay. There's this message that is coming through. This card is just full of turquoise and purple. That has to be one of my favorite color combos ever, is like a violet and a turquoise that's coming through. And the message is around reclamation. Now, reclamation is a word I use often in some of the practices that I have. We talk about language reclamation. I talk about like reclaiming even the words and the energy around the psychic, and how the vibration of the word psychic was a couple decades ago, and how it is a term that is well understood in the world, and how we have to sometimes reclaim the energy around it, the language around it, and create it into something new. How do we alchemize something that is into something that we desire it to be? How do we reclaim that power back? So there's something that you want to transform. There's something that you want to alchemize. You know, I first learned about alchemy through public speaking training, when I had to learn how to alchemize all the intense energy that came with stage fright and turn it into stage presence, and how to process that energy into something that supports me and is powerful. And that was the first time I alchemized anything. And so now even when I see something that I feel victim by, right? I experienced spiritual abuse last year. And I felt really disempowered by that experience. And I knew I had to alchemize that disempowerment into something empowering. So I created the Declaration program on ethics and integrity in spiritual and unregulated spaces, right? To restore balance, but to alchemize this seemingly shitty experience for myself into something powerful and helpful for others. So this reclamation card is another way of alchemizing something that is into something that you need it to be. And the process that I have around this is very internal. It's a feeling. It's through the world of emotions that I'm able to alchemize this. Much like I live with an anxiety disorder and I'm constantly alchemizing anxiety into wisdom. And that's a process that is purely done by the inner world. And in truth, very few things have prepared me for that. It's been public speaking, it's been vulnerability and being visible and having to alchemize all that comes with that into having somewhat inner peace inside and constantly transforming my experience into something that I want to experience. So this is a time of reclamation, and the subtitle on this card is around home. And when I think of home, I think of wholeness. So think about the things that you're trying to alchemize right now that maybe you feel victimized by. You know, in my personal life, I've been going through something that's completely out of my control. And in truth, I was thinking about it this morning that I don't think I've done a great job not letting it bleed into all the other areas of my life because it really stole my joy. And you could probably tell this year by how little I've been on Instagram and how I've been mostly in the collective and in my programs. I've been struggling a little bit with the energy of it. And this is an area I was thinking this morning that I want to alchemize now, and I haven't had the capacity or the wherewithal to be able to do that before now. But leveraging the newness of the season, leveraging the shifts that were impressed upon me during this most intense eclipse season, which we are just on the other side of. It's time. It's time to either compartmentalize or alchemize this stress and this anxiety into something else. So that is what is on my list. And I hope that you have something in your awareness now that comes to you as a next step for yourself on this. The next thing that's coming in relation to this, it feels like you go through this process. It feels authentic to you. It feels self-guided. And then there is this added step of an offering to the spirit world. How do you give an offering? How do you give an offering of gratitude to your higher self, to the world of the unseen energies, unseen spiritual supporters? How do you give thanks back? And, you know, for some of the teachings I have, that's the intention of tobacco, is to give back, to give offerings. And that feels authentic to me because of my own personal relationship with the medicine. I've seen people of many different cultures set up a place at the table as an offering to the ancestors. We've done this at the retreat, where we give an offering to our water altar, creating this really beautiful ceremonial water and giving an offering to the water, to the keepers of the water, which is all of us as well. And it really adds a lot of energy to the sacred medicine that we are creating through this water. So just thinking about how you can make it sacred, right? Signify the shifts and the empowered shifts and the alchemy that you're going to be creating through an offering of some kind, and what comes most natural to you. I'm reminded of, I hosted these more philosophy and spiritual circles at Spirit School, and a few people at HQ here signed up. And we talked about altars and we talked about offerings, and I gifted them each a rose. And I said, okay, so you each gave your offering. Now I want you to think of an ancestor in spirit that you know supports you in your decisions and in your human journey. And I want you to pull a petal off of the rose and then give your offering again with the rose petal, right? So same thing, but just adding that extra step. And there wasn't a dry eye in the circle after this experience. There's just something extra about giving something tangible, whether it's a string of your own hair, right? Whether it's a prayer on a piece of paper, sending it downriver, there's so many ways that you can give offerings that are authentic to your spirit and authentic to your humanity. And this is like an extra step that Spirit invites you to bring in for the sake of your own sacredness. They don't need it, but they know that you do. So these offerings, yes, are for others, but they're in such a sacred place of gratitude that's for us and them, and everyone wins. So this is something that comes in really strong for you. Taking a deep breath in with me. And exhale. There's a cloth I'm seeing on a table. And it's a beautiful square cloth. I'm reminded of this. I did an equinox ceremony for the collective membership on Friday, just this past Friday, to bring in the spring equinox. And we did the ceremony. And I shared how I plant seeds at the beginning of every project I have. And I was actually gifted a red piece of ceremonial cloth by Lydia Williams, who has been on the podcast before. The Women's Day episode from last year, she drummed and sang for people. She's a dear friend of mine and someone I admire greatly. And she gifted me this ceremonial cloth. And I would be really lost in my human experience. And I would be ruminating about things that are pissing me off in the world and how I feel so helpless to it all, and like what changes can you make, and or I'm like kind of like disappointed by plans I had with the family and they get shifted. But all the things that make me feel a little bit sucked up by the human things are out of my control. I would find myself out walking the dog in the state of rumination, and I would hear an inspiration come in, much like Spirit comes in through my mediumship, and I would hear them say, just tend to your tobacco, because that's what I grow myself. I grow tobacco for my own medicine. And I would hear tend to my tobacco. And every time I would hear that, I would also lock eyes with something that had fallen in nature, whether it be a feather, a leaf, a piece of moss, even like a piece of litter. It's like in one instant, I would be hit with this inspiration, tend to your tobacco, which was always a way for Spirit to rebalance my humanity with my spirituality. Because I'm very much in my human law. I'm a humanitarian. I look at the plates of humanity. I try my best to restore balance around them. I don't want to be ignorant to them. But I have bills to pay, and I have a lot of human concerns that everyone else has, and we can get really, really stuck in the cycle of our humanity. And this was, I felt, Spirit's way of calling me home, back to my spirituality and bringing balance. So what I would do is whatever I locked eyes on, I would put it in my pocket and I would bring it home. And I would put it into my sacred cloth and I would wrap it up every time. And I would actually put that cloth underneath the seeds that I was growing. And what Spirit was showing me as the next part of your Spirit messages is having like an altar cloth of creation and gathering items that support you in what it is you're trying to create in the world. What symbolically represents the things that you're trying to create, whether it's money, whether it's opportunity, whether it's peace, whether it's health, whether it's wealth. Only you know what you're desiring to try to create into this world, and Spirit is trying to encourage you to create an altar or a pouch or a pocket or a jar. It could be anything that stores items that represent what it is you are trying to create. And I was seeing it as a sacred cloth. So I leave that with you to tend into what you already have going on, or maybe this is something that encourages you to try something completely new. But gathering items that represent what it is that you're trying to create. This takes you closer to your destiny. I feel that, in astrology, they talk about the North Node. They talk about the North Node is our destiny. Like I'm a North Node Cancer, meaning my destiny is very much learning to be nourished and nurtured. I'm great at nourishing and nurturing others, but I'm really bad at letting people hold space for me and letting people help me. I'm not good at that at all. My most comfortable dynamic is helping others. And so my Cancer North Node is around my destiny in this regard. And they say that we enter North Node territory in our 40s. That's, for many of us, midpoint or midlife. as you will. So the first half of life is your south node, your past karma, what comes easy to you. The karma you got to work out, north node entering into destiny territory, coming into the 40s, coming into that second half of your life. Of course, we know this is very nuanced, but this is the overall theme of it. And so destiny comes in with spirit kind of referencing this threshold of before, after. So for those of you who have maybe had that thought, or for those of you who feel resonance with this, I feel that you are really stepping into destiny territory. So this practice of creating this altar of things that you hope to create in this world are tied to destiny in some way. So in your pouch, or whatever it is that you're going to be creating, think of short-term, mid-term, and long-term as well. Like, how do these short-term needs for financial stability support the longer-term destiny you're trying to fulfill? If you can find those short, long, and midterm reasonings, it just adds a bit of strength to it. That's what Spirit's kind of bringing into my awareness around this. And then the final message I have for you around these spirit messages is hummingbird energy. So the card is winged one, but the hummingbird is what sticks out. I feel that there are some of you out there who have asked for hummingbird energy to come forward and support you at this time. So this is that sign for you. And looking at the qualities of hummingbird, how quick they move, how trusting they can be. Oh my goodness, are hummingbirds not the most trusting winged ones you have ever encountered? Yesterday, I was scrolling for my memes and I came across this video that showed these hats that you literally put on, and they're clear mask and they have hummingbird feeders on the end of them. And dozens of hummingbirds were surrounding these people to get a meal. So this is a teaching of trust from the hummingbird one. And I want you to sit as a piece of homework, because this is spirit school and I never give you homework. And though I am nurturing and not mothering, you get to choose if you take on this assignment. But I invite you, after you hear this message about hummingbird energy, to sit with hummingbird energy. Where does hummingbird energy flutter in your body? What memories do you have of hummingbird? When you think of hummingbird, what do you also think of? What is the innate nature of hummingbird? What are its qualities? What are its teachings? I think about the fragility of hummingbird. How they survive in the winter, I don't know. But we have 2 heated hummingbird feeders that are filled around the clock, thanks to my dad, who is the ultimate animal lover that I've ever met. And these hummingbirds are around all year around my house. So think about all of these things when it comes to hummingbird medicine, and that's how you create your archetype around what does it mean when hummingbird comes nearby. You could go Google it, but a more authentic way is to sit with the nature and sit with the qualities, both light and shadow, of this being, and those are the teachings that come through to us. But above all else, trust. Trust yourself and trust those that guide you. Okay, trust. Okay, friends, these are your spirit messages this week. I hope that you find something in it. I hope that you feel inspired. And if you want to come chat about these spirit messages, please do come join us in Spirit School. It is an off social media, quiet, slow corner of the internet. It's been around for 3 years online. We have thousands of people there now, and you're welcome to come chat about the things that came up for you as you heard these spirit messages and connect in with other people who are looking for topics on conversations just like this. Or I should say conversations and topics just like this. Thank you, friends. Thank you for joining me on Spirit School today, friends. I am so grateful for this time that we spent together exploring the power of spirit, the depths of healing, and the magic of self-discovery. My hope is that each episode leaves you feeling inspired, empowered, and connected to the boundless energy of your own soul. If you've enjoyed today's episode, I invite you to take the next step on your journey by joining me in the Spirit School community. Inside, you'll find a vibrant space filled with like-minded souls, access to exclusive teachings, live mentorship opportunities, and the support to deepen your trust in your spiritual gifts while embracing your humanity. Visit myspiritschool.com to learn more and become part of this growing family of seekers and light bringers. Let's continue to co-create a rich life with spirit, love, and purpose together. Until next time, keep shining your light and walking your soul's path. Take care, my friends, and be well.